Hiya! This video is mainly aimed at men and their mental health, because you matter. In my previous videos, I've talked about something called the system. The system has many names, but for this video, I'll just explain it briefly. The system has been in place for a long time, and its purpose is nothing other than to use you and keep you from reaching your true potential and happiness. By controlling you and creating a role that it wants you to follow, and say that if you follow and fit into this role, you'll be happy. Reality is not that simple. What the roles mean have changed throughout history and will continue to do so. I highly suggest you watch my previous videos for more context. For this video, I will go through how the system will keep you stuck in misery. Firstly, let's go through why people stay in abusive relationships. I'm sure this is something that we've all thought about before, and I looked into it. And trust me, it's gonna make sense why I'm bringing this up later. So I can guess we've all heard about narcissists. Even if we might not truly understand what it actually means. Narcissists are often called the worst type of abusers, and for very valid reasons. There's even something called the narcissistic cycle of abuse. It has 4 stages that will loop around in a circle to trap a victim. Let's go through these stages. The first one is idealization. So here, the narcissist will put you on a pedestal and adore the idea they have about you. They will treat you wonderfully, also referred to as love bombing. They will lift you up and make you feel really good about yourself. They will mirror your behavior, making you feel comfortable and alike to them. And with their massive charm, you're completely pulled in, feeling full of hope and endless possibilities. You will start to spend a lot of time with them and lose contact with your friends and family. Maybe the narcissist will even want you to move out with them somewhere far away. And since you're already hanging out and having so much fun together, you start to question, why not? And if you don't, the narcissist will. And if you start to hesitate, they will start to ask you, why not? This happens over a long period of time, making sure you won't notice the small changes. The second stage is devaluation, which is probably the most scary stage. So here, the narcissist's idea about you is breaking down. In their eyes, you aren't as useful anymore, and they begin to show their true colors. They will criticize you for the smallest of things, and manipulate you in this way to cater to their every need. Having gone through that wonderful first stage, you start to wonder where that kind, wonderful, and familiar person went. You are utterly confused, and you feel a need to understand what's going on. Their manipulation will make you think that you are the problem, that you're not treating them right, because that's what they think. So, here you'll start to change yourself in an attempt to make them happy. But no matter what you do, you're never enough. Your confidence is being undermined. Remember that successful manipulation oftentimes goes unnoticed, and it is oftentimes easy to see ourselves as not enough. You might pick up a coping mechanism like alcohol, gaming, drugs, smoking, or other things that the narcissist at first might start doing with you, but then stop to show how easy it is. And then they will start to use it against you. You will start to look like a bad person to outsiders, which will keep you stuck in the relationship. Coping mechanisms are only an attempt to calm our nervous systems, but they can become an escape, especially when we have too much outside pressure that we feel unable to handle. This is normal, and in these cases we often need help, which is also normal to need. But the narcissist won't accept this, because they have a warped view of the world. Now we enter into the third stage. Here, the narcissist will end their connection with you. They no longer see a use for you in their lives. To them, you're now useless, because that's how they see others, as objects to use for themselves. They might have found some new object to use, or not, but they will either completely and suddenly cut off all contact, or slowly withdraw contact. And you will be left feeling like a shell of who you once were. And then the fourth stage, hover. As you slowly start to heal and get back to who you once were, the person that the narcissist idealized, the narcissist will be around you again, and they will start to try and suck you back into their grasp and control. You will start to see glimpses of the person that they showed themselves to be at first, and you even might believe that they are finally back. They might apologize and make excuses with grand promises of things that they will do for you now. You might start believing that everything will be alright again, but the cycle just starts anew again. It is easy to brag about how you never fall for manipulation, but the act of feeling pride for your perceived notion that you are infallible about trickery makes you more likely tricked. The successful manipulation leaves you not understanding that you were manipulated. Therefore, keeping humble and realizing that we are all fallible puts you in control of your life, makes things appear as they are to you, unclouded by pride. Disclaimer: if you're in a relationship where you've recognized any of these things that I've now talked about, please get in contact with a licensed therapist. There is no persuading or boundaries that will be respected by a narcissist. There is no understanding that can be created with them. They will only keep the cycle going and you will get ghosted or worse. Take care of yourself. You are worthy of being gently loved without emotional roller coasters. The abusive cycle is not really that different from how the system treats people, idealizing you when you follow the role you're meant to follow, but then the system keeps picking at you. You aren't manly enough, you aren't strong enough, you aren't getting enough women to like you, you aren't popular enough, etc. It nitpicks every move you make, so while you're making progress, you feel like you aren't going anywhere. Two examples of this is body dysmorphia, going to the gym for months yet still perceiving yourself as not enough muscle or too fat in the mirror. Being too self-conscious, talking with women but overanalyzing every word and sentence you speak, failing to see the connections you're making, only your perceived failure, thus blocking further connections. These are both types of black and white thinking in extremes, that you have to reach a certain point or no progress has been made at all. And the sharp focus on the last goalpost makes you miss all the ones that you are passing on the way. The system really likes this extreme white and black thinking, because as you go back and forth from one extreme to the other, you'll never find the happiness in the middle. Now, interestingly enough, there's actually an abuse tactic called just moving the goalposts, where the thing the abuser asks you to do constantly changes, so you never reach satisfaction for them. This creates a thinking that you aren't enough as you are, which is false. You are enough. Be kind to yourself. Real change comes in small moments. Focus on liking the progress instead of reaching a goal. Two good books I recommend for this are The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck and The 1% Method. And always remember, successful manipulation goes unnoticed. It's always good to stay humble and understanding on this, for yourself and for others. Trying to fit into the role that the system decided for you isolates us. And humans need community to feel that we are always loved. When the system makes you feel that you aren't enough, you start picking up coping mechanisms, escapes from the pain that you feel inside. And there are an abundance of those in today's society. There's gaming, porn, consumerism, buying things just for the fun of it, even if you don't need it. There's alcohol, drugs, and anything that can cause an addiction. But what is an addiction? Merriam-Webster defines addiction as a compulsive, chronic, physiological or psychological need for a habit-forming substance, behavior, or activity, having harmful physical, psychological, or social effects and typically causing well-defined symptoms, such as anxiety, irritability, tremors, or nausea, upon withdrawal or abstinence, the state of being addicted. Something really difficult to do is coming to terms with having an addiction in the first place. For example, are you just bored, or is it actually anxiety induced by withdrawal? I've had addictions. A key to coming to this conclusion is when my mind would think, I can quit anytime I want, but why would I do that? This thinking always bothered me. It was like a little manipulator worm in my brain, so I tried quitting the things I was doing every day, and that I felt weren't giving me anything. It took months, but I got there eventually. My addictions were porn and gaming, which is not uncommon nowadays, especially for men, and especially young boys. The way the system makes it easy to get addictions is by making you feel bad, as if you're not enough, and then compares you to people who have achieved things you can only dream of. The goalpost will always move, so even if you achieve getting a job, they're still getting an apartment. When getting an apartment, they're still getting a girlfriend, and so on. Constantly chasing an end that doesn't exist. Feeling chased and stressed. Remember that comparison is the thief of joy. Living in joy is feeling gratitude for what you have and not focusing on what you don't. This is what might eventually cause the famous midlife crisis. Reaching or not reaching the goals that others set up for you only to realize it isn't who you are or what you want. But never even having thought of figuring that out can lead to crazy behaviors that, although funny to others, can be life-shattering for the person. I'm talking about cheating on your wife, gambling, expensive impulse purchases, alcohol, getting with a girl younger than your own children as a desperate attempt to get your wasted young years back, destroying your relationships with your children, etc. All of these ultimately still serving the system. Your money goes to the already rich. You might create more workers with the younger girl, and you will still stay miserable. You can only cover up your hidden wounds with adventurous behaviors for so long after all. And then, when the system deems you entirely worthless, you get discarded. Homeless on the street, drug addicted, a shoddy NEET, a nobody. There might not even be any direct circumstances that would signal to others that you are worth less now, but you'll feel it. There might not be any fingers pointed at you, but the system puts the pointing fingers in your head, making you blame yourself. And you might even start to blame others, which the system will cheer you on for doing. Maybe you'll even get some friends that also blame others. Suddenly, you're not a nobody. At least you're better than the others. Maybe you hate women, minorities, or the other side of the war that your country is in. The hate can make you feel better, stronger, and valuable. At this point, it doesn't feel like hate anymore. It feels like dominance and power, because you feel special. You are at a higher point in the hierarchy than when you felt lost, when you felt that you were at the bottom of the hierarchy. If you're in the military, you're getting the community you always wanted, for a price. They are at the same point in the hierarchy as you. It's the ultimate form of masculinity in the system. Serving the system in the ultimate way where you'll get recognized and praised. It's the system's way out if you're ever at the bottom that the system put there for you to fall into. The system hovers in and pulls you out. You're good as long as you follow orders. Follow your role. As long as you're a good soldier. Oppress those who don't follow their appointed roles. As long as your values appear to follow the system. Everything you do must benefit those at the top. No matter how you feel or what your circumstances are. No matter how you actually feel inside, the mask you wear covering the real you looks good to others. This is not so different than the abuse cycle of a narcissist. In easy terms, good as long as you follow the ideal man, and when you start to feel bad, the system points fingers at you, saying you're the problem. And you will believe the system, and either try to follow the ideal man or fall down and be discarded, only to be brought back up again to serve the system some more. Be a good boy now, the system says. You're my most valuable after all. This is how the system keeps you stuck in misery. The system is based in narcissistic structures, following the narcissistic cycle. The system thinks it's the very best there ever was, and don't try to disagree because actually, you're the problem, is what the system says. Often you'll even see people impersonating the system. It has to be upheld somehow after all. Some people feel so pressed against the wall, so burnt out and broken down, that they become the abuser, to avoid being hurt again. This is actually how the majority of abusers are born. Hurt people hurt people. A quote from Gavin de Becker's book, The Gift of Fear goes, "As a father delivers the blows, so likely will his son. As the parent abuses their children, the children learn to abuse." This is also called the cycle of abuse. And it will go down in families and societies. The majority of abuse is born from deep fear. The fear comes from wanting to hide the woundedness inside. Keeping up appearances of something that isn't real. remaining in a hierarchy built upon falsehood, an imaginary play of power and dominance. So, how do you break this cycle? Stop spinning. Jump off the wheel. Be kind to yourself. Realize that the mean voices or thoughts in your head that make you feel bad, they aren't put there by you. Your thoughts aren't you. They aren't real unless you believe in them. So believe the kind ones. Build momentum and create positive experiences for yourself and others in the best ways that you can. Now, my point will never be to try and change or control what you think. I only wish to help in any way that I can. I wish for you to simply take what works and leave what doesn't. And to get back to the question at the beginning of the video, there's also more nuance to why people stay in abusive relationships. Abusers have their tactics and use them whether they are aware of it or not. For the ones suffering the abuse, they could simply feel as though they don't deserve better. For me personally, I didn't know what a loving relationship was like for the longest time because I had never witnessed it. So these abusive behaviors, to me, they seem normal. Crying was normal. But staying curious allowed me to find better. But it is surprisingly uncomfortable at first to be loved when you're not used to it. Being used to being treated badly can really toughen your life up. It can even be a point of ego. Imagine you are beaten down, but you see yourself as strong and capable of handling any blows. Then you might stay because you don't want to be the victim of being hurt, completely missing the fact that you are. It's sort of like men working jobs that destroy them both mentally and physically, but they keep going because they see themselves as strong men and not pussies. There's also something called sunken cost fallacy. This is thinking that, well, I already spent X amount of years in this relationship, I can't just let all of that go. Like, imagine if you have an abusive partner that treats you badly and uses you for money and gifts, you might reconsider leaving because you'd lose what you've invested in the relationship, completely missing the fact that you've already lost yourself. Getting out of a sinking boat and thinking about how you lose the boat if you get off, when you can make another boat that won't sink with a collaboration of an actual partner and not a boat-eating parasite. Now, I'm not a professional and I'm not a therapist, so this is for educational purposes only. If you see yourself in any of this, I'd recommend therapy. Like talking with an actual licensed professional that can help you even better than I can. This system creates trauma because that's the way it was designed. It abuses us so we become the abusers and keep the system going. I've never met a person that was actually doing well, but I'm not sure how much that sentence stands for, coming from an introvert, but it has impacted me a lot learning this. And there's the concept of happiness from within, which I'm aware of and I support it. But when there's a structural enforcement in society to make sure that we can't reach our own happiness, that is a war on the soul. It's all for profit. And if you think money will make you happy, think again. There are millionaires that are going to therapy and eating antidepressants. I think all of this sucks and I want to change things. So let's do it. Recovering isn't easy or quick, but it sure beats hardships and long suffering, in my opinion. If you like my content, please like and subscribe so I can keep doing these videos, which I am very passionate about. It has been a long time since I put out a video because my life has been really hectic, but it is better now, so I will keep doing this. Thank you so much for watching. Love to you all.